嗨，大家好，我是陈爸，又来到我们的直播时间，这是一个非常不一样的直播时间呢。为什么我今天选在礼拜三的下午来做直播？这是有原因的哦，因为我今天的特别来宾呢是一位日本的自学家长。那大家可能刚刚在荧幕上面有看到，那他的名字就是在这里，然后所以我先把这个招牌放大一点给大家看。Okay, so we're very happy to see to have our guest today, this afternoon. I'm sorry, it's 2 p.m. in Taiwan now, and Takahiro Sasaki-san from the Japan Association, Homeschool Association. Before we start, as usual, I would like to introduce my sponsors. Here are my sponsors, and you can see their names. They are very important to what I'm doing here. So if you like the program, please sponsor me as well. And our first person is online now. So without further ado, allow me to introduce my guest today is Takahiro Sasaki-san. Let me add him to the stream. Hi. Hello.
Hi.
I can see.
Thank you for the invite.
How are you? Hey, hi at the back. Hello. Hi. Yeah. Thanks very much for allowing me to interview you today, and I'm really excited. This program usually take place in the evening, and so it's first time we try to do it in the afternoon. I hope there'll be enough people show up, and then they will ask some interesting question. If not, I will be the person who is going to ask.
Yeah, sorry about the unusual schedule. I have a class after this, so.
Okay, understand. No problem. Totally fine. So this before we start, I just would like to ask if Takahiro would like me to how should I address you? Because right now the Japanese has two ways of putting the names. The traditional way, putting Sasaki in the front, or Takahiro in the front, like the Western way.
Either way is fine. Usually in Japan, like we use our names. So Sasaki, Takahiro, like family name first.
Very good. Yeah. So let's change that right away. Because I know for a long time it was the Western way when you spell in the English, but now there's been a change. There we go. Now we changed it.
Big deal, though.
Yes. So okay. So Takahiro, thank you very much for allowing me to interview you. I understand you are a very busy homeschool dad, and you're also a director for the Homeschool Association of Japan. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself? What do you do? What's your background? And then a little bit about Homeschool Association of Japan.
Okay, so my name is Taka Sasaki, and well, my official name is Takahiro Sasaki, and I live in Yokohama area in Japan, the most internationalized area in Japan, I guess. And I was born and grown up in Japan and went to high school in Switzerland. So I have some education background in Europe. And after that, I went to Hawaii Pacific University, so the university in Hawaii, the United States. And in 2010, I came back to Japan and worked as a editor of Eiken Foundation of Japan, which is the most popular English examination company in Japan. And after that, I moved to Tokyo Kids Base Camp, which is on creating the after schools in Tokyo and Kanagawa area, urban area in Japan. And this year, I just quit my job and, well, kind of independent, and became a director of the Homeschool Association of Japan. And I'm now focusing on how to, spread this idea all over the world, or maybe all over in Japan. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I forgot to unmute myself. And I think that was a fascinating experience, because for people who are not familiar with Japan, we always think that Japan is a very monolithic, many very conformist kind of society, whereby everybody follow the same rules and do the same thing. But you have very different experience, and like you described earlier, you travel.
Yeah, I guess so. When I was in the elementary school, maybe if there is idea of homeschooling, I would probably choose the that choice of study.
Right.
And just school.
I see. So, but how did homeschooling first came to your mind? What made you decide to do that?
Well, I knew the homeschooling. Well, I knew the basic idea of homeschooling because I have some educational background in Europe and America. So I knew some people are doing that. And I also graduated the education major of the United States. So basically I knew that idea since I was a student. Yeah.
Right. But putting that idea into practice, it still takes a big leap of faith. What drives you to realize?
Well, first of all, I have 4 children, like all boys, all elementary school children, and one of them wanted to study at home. Well, basically, he didn't like to participate in the group, and that kind of characteristic was found when he was in the preschool level. Yeah, and what he said
must be very difficult. I mean, not being able to participating in the group must be a very difficult situation, in particular in Japan.
Guess so. Not only in Japan, but in many groups, children have to do the same thing in the certain group. And well, the Japanese preschool usually have their sports day and also all cultural events. There it is. And yeah, and usually teachers decide what they need to take role in that event. So for example, you do the rabbit in this play, and you do this dog, and your line is this, like that. So he didn't like that. And also he was very interested in reading at that time. So he wanted to maximize the time of reading. But young children are very busy. I mean, they are decided all the schedules, and all the activities are they have different activities in every 10 or 20 minutes.
Right.
In preschool, so they didn't have any time to focus on the certain thing. So in my son's case, reading. Yeah. So I thought, well, that's reasonable. It's fair for him to choose whatever he wants to do, spend time. So I thought, taking him out of the basic system and let him do whatever he wants is just fair for him.
Right. And your oldest son? is the first son? That
No, second.
Second one. So first one's already in the school system.
Yes.
Okay. So and then when did they all started homeschooling? So they all started at different time.
Well, like now everybody is going to school now, but my second son started homeschooling when he started the first grade, and finished homeschooling when he was third grade.
Third grade, okay.
Yeah. Well, almost. Yeah.
Right. And how about the other boys? Did they homeschool also, or they all went to school throughout their education?
Well, when no, I've never thought about that because like they all like school.
Okay.
So I thought that's their choice. Yeah.
So do you notice any difference? So this is interesting. So inside your household, there are kids who go to school and there are kids who don't go to school.
Right.
Have you noticed any difference between how they study or behave?
Well, I usually work at home, so if it doesn't matter if we have a child like, back here and like teach him how to study.
Right. So because of your flexible work schedule that allow you to be able to help, I mean to accompany to stay with him and
that's a big part.
And his personality he enjoy reading and think, so he doesn't really mind just stay at home with you and doing whatever he's doing. That's great. That's very great. And so tell us a little bit more about how does one homeschool in Japan? You said that your son started from grade 1 to grade 3, and did you have to tell the government that, hey, I'm not going to school anymore because there is a compulsory education in Japan between age 6 to 15, right? So what do you need?
Yeah, that's a major question that we get as an association. Well, basically, no application is necessary to do homeschooling in Japan. And there's only two types of schooling, like children who go to school and children who do not, right? So and in Japan, the latter is called futoko, like people who don't go to school. And this group is legally recognized and like widely recognized by the society. And futoko literally means like people not go to school. So homeschool is included in this group. So even though you are not going to school, you still need to have contact with school in at least monthly basis. And they need to do this because schools or the school principal is responsible for knowing if the children is doing well at home. Yeah. This is important to prevent child abuse outside school.
Right.
Yeah.
Futoko, very interesting concept. I first heard about it. It was like 8 years ago in Berlin, first global education conference, and Chinese pastor Hiro, I forgot he said, he explained this concept. And apparently in Japan constitution, in the education law, the parents have the obligation to send children to receive education. But the children have no obligation to go to school. Nobody can go to school. So the complete education is a responsibility of the parents. Not but how do can it?
Sorry, I couldn't hear the question. Tim? Sorry, I couldn't hear the question.
Yeah, I got disconnected. I'm
Oh,
sorry, I got disconnected by myself. That was something never happened before. I guess I'm too excited. And my
okay.
apology. Thank you for staying online and seeing the difficulties. My
That's good.
apology to my viewers. Yes, and I don't know what Sasaki Takahiro has said to you while I'm away, but I'm not responsible for anything he said.
Okay, so what was the question?
The question was, so in Japan, the compulsory education law only apply to the parents, not to the kids. And so the Japanese kids can just say no if they don't want to go to school, and nothing can be done about it.
Nothing. Yeah,
Okay.
basically, like as you said, like parents are responsible for to give the education to their child. So as long as they are neglecting them, or they are having some like interaction with children and like teaching something at home, like that's no problem. Yeah. And also, like if you want to do homeschooling in Japan, it's necessary that children themselves want to do homeschooling.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very interesting, because in some part of the world whereby parents advocating their education choice, so they say, we want to decide for our kids what they want to do, but in Taiwan, it's a balance between the parents' choice and the children's right to learn. So, but it's an application process in Taiwan. But in Japan, it seems to be that the children's wishes is the most important, and the parents and schools will just follow the child however they want to learn.
Yeah, that's their lives. So that's their choice. Yeah,
that's their choice. So now here's the thing. They are reported, based on the most recent report, there are 181,000 school-age students, i.e. between age 6 and 15, who do not go to school, or futoku, like you said, and because their wish is not going to school. But the number of homeschoolers in Japan are much smaller than that. So what are those parents doing? They are not going to school, but they are not homeschooled.
Sorry?
All the other futoku kids, I mean, what do they do if they are not all of them are homeschooled, right?
Right. Yeah, like futoku includes those who want to actively study in Japan, at home, but like many of them have some like difficulties in learning. That's the many families. That's a problem many families have right now. And like, for example, some students have learning disabilities, or they have some, well, some sort of diagnosis that they cannot focus on, or like they cannot collaborate with other people. So the school life is difficult for them. Yeah. That's not the academic problem, but they're like mental problem, or like some sort of, like brain issues, right? Yeah. So I personally think like we should consider the solution like differently. Like we need to separate the issues. Like people who want to do academic homeschooling, like they need to, they just can, right? As I said, and like people who have basically who have difficulties in school, and they had no choice to, well, basically, how do I say, so there are people who have no choice to, like they have to do homeschooling, right? Like there's some group of people who who has to do homeschooling. Like they cannot go to school because they can their children cannot like participate in the group. Yeah, so for that group, like we need special care. Not like including academic care, and like they need special approach.
Yes, medical care and other mental help as well.
Yeah. So in that case, we need to collaborate with the like medical department, like hospitals and like counselors and stuff. Yeah, and usually the parents do not have any knowledge how to handle their kids, so like they need to educate them.
Right.
Well, so yeah, the characteristics of groups are like quite different. Right. So like we need to like separate each group.
Yes.
Yeah.
In Taiwan, we went through that kind of process. At the beginning, home education was largely reserved, like you were saying, that for students who are not compatible with the school, or school lack of the necessity, both in terms of people and equipment to help them. So the parents have to home educate their kids. And as time goes, there are more and more people who choose to homeschool because they want to have kids to receive different education, rather than their kids cannot attend school for various reasons. But now we are moving towards like kind of hybrid mode, where in our homeschool groups there are different degrees of students who may or may not need some sort of special need, but there are kids who are capable, perfectly okay to function in the school and outside at home. But also there are kids who really need help, but to a different degree of help. So we kind of work together. How about the Home Education Homeschool Association of Japan? What kind of parents do you or students do you gear towards helping?
Well, basically, the history of homeschooling in Japan is quite shallow. I mean, it's not,
it's very recent.
Yeah. Like we just started. We started to use this word recently.
Okay.
Yeah, idea itself was existed like 10 or 20 years ago. Yeah. But, so like at this moment, the information that parents want to have is how to communicate with the school, or like how to spend time at home.
Right.
And yeah, so we provide that kind of information. Yeah, like we just give them the ideas to spend time with their children.
What information do you provide, communicate with the school, because you're saying that you don't need to apply? Well, I don't want to go, and that's it. Is that easy? Just say I don't want to use it.
Yeah, but just still, as I said, the history is not that long. Many teachers and principal is not quite sure about accepting homeschooling. Like they are very nervous about allowing homeschooling at home, because usually parents are not professional teachers, right? They do not have any certifications in education, even though they are their parents. So school is the mainstream of education in Japan. Like 99% of the population go to school, and also the Japanese education is quite good, so to speak. And it's safe, and the lunch is provided, and it's free. So there is no reason why you don't want their child to go to school. Yeah, so like
That's true.
teachers have many questions about homeschooling, basically. So even though children and parents want to choose homeschooling, the teachers still have to like make sure why.
Right, of course. And I totally agree. I know exactly what my youngest daughter Anya, who is 10 years old, and she goes to a public school, primary school in Nagano-ken in Hakuba, and it's a beautiful in the village. It has only 100 students for the whole school from grade 6, and in her class of grade 5, 15. So we have a teacher, and we have a teacher's assistant, and a beautiful ground, gymnasium, and you say tasty lunch. And the school has a private school ski slope in the winter, so they get ski almost every other day at the school. So free. So, and so because I'm a resident, so I also attend. I mean, my kids attend public school, but she's homeschooled in Taiwan, and it's just fascinating. It's that's true. It's kind of very difficult to choose home education, not because the application is hard. It's a free option. It's too good. It's so good that you don't need it hard. So among parents who come ask about homeschooling, the association you are working with, the most common reason want to try homeschooling.
I'm sorry, the sound is cracking, so.
It's my microphone. Let me change. Switch to a different microphone. Okay. Is this better now? Yeah.
Yeah.
So my question was, the parents who come to the association and ask for information, what's the most common reason they choose to homeschool their kids?
Well, all the families have different reasons, but the major reason why they start homeschooling is they want to provide the education that really matches to their children's characteristics. Oh.
Like, for example, what are parents' interests? What kind of learning experience they are looking for? Yeah.
Their needs, right, is to have a community, like homeschooling loves community. Like they want to share the information. They want to get the informations about what kind of daily schedules other families have and what kind of curriculums they are like following too. Yeah, so they want to have a platform. They are using our association as a platform because like we only have like 1,000 to like 3,000 families in Japan, like homeschooling families. So like they are like in different places. It's hard to find other homeschoolers around you, especially the families is living in the rural areas. They are really have hard time to find their company.
Right.
So they need more like, okay, I'm doing okay, or like, sort of, how do you say, like on the regulations.
Yes.
So just, yeah.
Well, on this note, I want to share this book. It's actually it's a biography about our digital minister Audrey Tang in Taiwan, who you may be familiar with because I heard that she's quite well known in Japan. And this is actually a book first written, published in Japanese. And Audrey is one of the very first homeschooler. She homeschooled when 25 years ago when she was 15, and then she I think she left school at the grade 7 and never went back. So she never went to high school or college, and then she became a minister of digital minister in Taiwan, and the story that they I actually know the family quite well. I mean, her parents and I used to work together to advocate for homeschool rights in Taiwan. And so their reason was why she decided not to continue going to school at the grade 7 was that it was boring for her to go to school. And there's nothing the school can teach her, and whatever she wants to learn, the school don't have it. And so she learned everything on the internet. How about in Japan? What do parents look for in terms of resources? What do they rely on in terms of home education?
Well, the resources. So first of all, they get information from the internet. So I started my own documentation of my second child since 2016, and many people said like that it was useful to see what kind of as one family, like I was doing homeschooling, so it was useful. And also I also published my book about my son, like homeschooling, this year, September. Yeah, and that is probably the most recent or like latest information of homeschooling in Japan. It's in Japanese. And also there are many information about homeschooling in the like English website. So like we can get the information from the site of the US, and many homeschool families can read English. So so maybe like those families are getting information from those
Right.
But, yeah, to be honest, like there is almost no information, like no like certain information that they can follow. There's no book, there's no like stable website, right, in Japan. So like we are now creating that.
Right. That's very, very important. I remember I published a book. That's my book. So it says, title says, My House is an International School because my wife is Polish. So and this was first published in 2013, and then they published a second version in 2016. And so it was the same reason that we need a first-person account to explain to people how to home educate their children and what it's like to have a homeschool family, and some of the tips on how to do it. And later, my daughter, who started her own business at 17. She's a homeschooled. She only been homeschooled. She never go to school, and so she wrote a book. That's when she was 20. That was 3 years ago. That how she started a business in Japan, and she ran a ski school. So yeah, and that's why we live in Nagano-ken, because that's where her ski school is. And so it was very interesting to see how Japan is going through the sort of similar phases that we went through in Taiwan. But I want to ask you a little bit more about the government's attitude and the government's how are they doing anything about homeschooling? Are they helping or regulating, or what's the situation in Japan right now?
There is no official regulation about homeschooling, but these days, like, they are more flexible and open to education outside school.
Right.
Yeah, because there are many Futoko problems and Futoko students in Japan, and well, student suicide is kind of one of the biggest issues in the educational field.
Right.
So the government has to admit there are like some flexibility or the choices for the students, to choose from. So homeschooling, home education is one of them. And also now the coronavirus thing is like all over the world. And as we adults are doing remote working now. So why not students? Like, students can study at home, like doing online. Yeah. So many online schools and online education is now kind of like recognized, and many cram school is starting their online lessons. So I hope and I believe there will be more choices for students to choose from, and also governments are kind of like very open to that choices.
Right. And how about support? Because like you said, Japan has one of probably the best public primary and secondary education in terms of investment. They really spend a lot of money on primary and secondary education. How about home education? Do you see the government will help home educator in what way?
Well, I recently had a discussion with the candidates of the government, and like they said they are happy to have more choices for like homeschoolers. And one of the support that we want to have in near future is to use school as the like educational facilities for homeschoolers. Yeah, at this moment, schools have to be used by the usual schoolers and the teachers, right? And homeschoolers cannot use the school like, for example, like on the weekends, like we can have certain events using the facilities, right? Like we can use, because homeschoolers usually cannot have like science room or like cooking room or like library, but schools already have those facilities.
Right.
Yeah. So now we are hoping to have some rights to use schools as a facility for the homeschoolers as well.
Right. That's excellent. And is that at the local level with the Yokohama city government, or does it need to go to the central government to decide on these kind of things?
I'm not sure, but like in Tokyo area, we have 23 districts, and each district have their own
education.
Yeah. So like Shibuya area and Shinjuku area have different standards.
Yes.
So at this moment, like Shibuya area, like all the junior high school students have Surface Go too. So like they have more budgets and like they have more like flexibility and like the many people in the government is relatively young and they're more understanding for those kind of new education.
Right.
Yeah, but like when you see like people in, for example, like Shimane or like those rural area, like they are still like following the traditional way of learning and like traditional schools.
That's right. Yeah.
So it's very different.
And how about graduation? Because since homeschool are not required to apply, and nobody knows how many people are homeschooled except for the fact that they declare themselves as a homeschooler rather than futoku. So after finishing home education, how do they continue with other things, whether to go to school, either higher education, or to get a job? What are the paths for them?
Yeah, first of all, like for elementary school and the secondary school, like junior high school, although your child is not going to school, like if your child is a homeschooler, like you are still a member of your public school.
Yeah.
So even though you spend all like 6 or 9 years at home, like you still get the certificate from your school.
Okay.
Yeah. So of course, like you can apply to the high school and university, and also like there is high school qualification test. Like if you pass that test, you do not even have to go to high school. You just like go to university.
Right.
Yeah. But it's a rare case though.
So for homeschoolers, the district school will still recognize them as their students, and then as long as they file the study progress report to the school will be quite happy to issue a graduation diploma for primary and junior.
I'm not sure if they say they are happy to.
They're obliged to.
Yeah, but still, like they have to, because the students are still
their students
of the school.
Okay.
Even though they are studying at home, they are futoko, but he or she is still a member of that school.
Sure.
Yeah, that's why I said like school principal is responsible for the children's education in their areas.
I see. Right. Okay.
So we as an association of Homeschool Association of Japan, we strongly push all the families to have good or great
relation
with the school. So there is no rule how many times you have to visit school if you are a homeschool families, but we strongly suggest them to go to like visit school and visit your teachers at least.
Right.
Yeah.
But it makes but how about in the high school? Because high school is not compulsory. So if you have Toku in high school, do they still get your certificate?
As you said, like high school education is not mandatory in Japan.
Yeah.
And so as university education, so that's their choice. Like you do not have to go to high school. So it's kind of unreasonable to have homeschoolers in the high school level. Like you're just studying by yourself, right?
Right. And then if you
when we call homeschoolers, like they are at the age of like elementary school and the second
and the junior
junior high school.
And then going to university, you say that they need to first pass a high school equivalent test, or can they apply directly to university with only their junior high school diploma?
If you only have a junior high school diploma, you cannot apply to the university because you are not graduated from the high school.
Okay.
So if your child is very smart or gifted, and like he or she can like solve all the problems or have all the information about high school education, like they can take the test.
Right.
Yeah, high school qualification test. And after that, if they pass that test, they have the right to apply for the university.
Okay.
Yeah.
But first, they need to be checked for whether they have.
Yeah, they need to do the test. Yeah.
Need to pass the test. Okay. And how about getting a job? Is there a problem for people who finishing homeschooling without going?
I'm not sure if the company is quite traditional, like Japanese company, like I don't know, like if you want to work for the government,
right?
They might see your academic background.
Sure.
But the most important thing is the skill that they have at the stage of graduation of the university, right? Yeah. So even though they are homeschooled in their like junior high level, they graduated from like Tokyo University or like studied in abroad and like came back to Japan, like they're just fine, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. And
usually he doesn't see those lower education level.
Right. And so a situation like I showed you earlier, Audrey, our digital minister in Taiwan, who only have a junior high school diploma, and she didn't even go there. It was the same cases in Japan. The principal say, okay, she's smart, she knows what she's doing, so I'm going to give her the diploma. Could she become a minister in Japan one day if she was a Japanese and with only junior high diploma and tell herself everything?
Yeah, I think so. Like 10 years from now on, like all this basic standard will change and educational paradigm shift we call it. Like it's right now. So whether or not you study in school is not that important, I guess. Right.
And do you also see that as a reason why some parents are interested in home education? Because while we talk about the merits of a Japanese school system, is wonderful, it's free, it's clean, and the lunch is very tasty. It's a very rigid system. It's there's a lot of rules and regulations and not much flexibilities. Do you see parents in Japan? Yeah.
Personally, feel the people who choose different education, so homeschooling, is not the majority of them. Like if you imagine the bell curve, yeah, the central 70% will go to school.
Yeah.
Because school system is, well, good enough for them.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, but the top 15% and the bottom 15%, they might have to choose different choices.
Right.
Yeah. So those people, like homeschooling might be for those people. Yeah. So we need to have, as an association, like we need to have like different two approaches for like different.
The top and the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but like, the school system will still be the mainstream in Japan, I think. And as I told you, like in Shibuya or like Tokyo area, like they are now applying like new kind of education, and the remote studying will be more usual.
Right.
yeah, and in the future, like they can do, so they study at home, but like gather at school to do like some discussion or debate or more, how to say, like more like realistic, more like group working style.
Yes. So
Yeah.
more flexibility, what they call flexi schools, whereby instead of instead of keeping the kids for 5-6 hours a day, 5 days a week, children may only come in. Just like in the workplace, people go to office instead of 5 days a week. Now they go there 2 or 3 days a week only for the meeting. And children, yeah.
I feel like, I guess like you graduated from you have the master's degrees in the US university, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Washington.
Yeah, like that, like Japanese education will become like that. Like university, like you can just choose what kind of classes you want to go, like what time of the classes you want to join. Yeah, so like all the children can choose. Yeah, so that will be the trend or the style of the education.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Well, we're honored to have Sasaki Takahiro from the Homeschool Association of Japan today, and we've been talking about what it's like to homeschool in Japan and where the future of homeschooling in Japan may be. So everybody's been very polite today. Nobody's asking questions. And so before we go, I just want to remind everyone that I will have Takahiro again in 2 weeks' time, also on Thursday morning, and but it's Taiwan time, Thursday morning at 9 a.m. or Japan 10 a.m. And he'll be joined by my other friends from Indonesia and Singapore, and we'll be talking about home education in Asia and the country in specific, but how Asia home education can develop. And also on Sunday, the 16th of November, I will have homeschool graduates and high school homeschool students from Taiwan, Indonesia, Singapore, and to talk about what their experience like being home educated. So please remember to join us. And before we go, Takahiro, I just want to ask if there's anything else you would like to share with our audience, and what they need to do if they're interested in home education in Japan. What should they do next? Is there anything that they can do to help them prepare for home education in Japan?
Well, there are many. Well, I guess like being a member of certain community is now a very important thing. So like find the communities that you can join. So I'm talking. And yeah, so even though there are only a few homeschooling communities in Japan that at this moment, but you can still find the communities that matches you and your children. So yeah. So I guess like having a certain community to join is the very important.
That I cannot agree more. I cannot agree more. I think it's so important to have to belong to a larger group. I mean, not just for the parents' own sanity, but it's also for the children's welfare. It's much better to, like we say in Taiwan, it's less scary to walk at night if you walk as a group. So, you know, and it's a lonely road, home education. Not many people are following the path. And so it's good to have many people who are on this road, whether in the same country or different country or worldwide. So that's why we're here. That's what we're doing.
Don't get isolated.
Don't get isolated. Don't do that. And thank you very much, Takahiro, I want to thank you again for your time, and I want to thank the patience of your boys at the back. I know they've been very nice, very patient, and please thank them for me. And I look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks' time. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, this will end our live stream, and I want to thank my sponsors again. They are my sponsors, and today my guest of honor is the director from Homeschool Association in Japan, and we'll see you guys next week. And remember to follow our Homeschool International Global Home Education Conference 2020 in 2 weeks' time. Thank you, and bye-bye.